Hey everyone, you're listening to the Vent Podcast, your source for market insights, wine industry news, and updates on our current collections. Enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Vent Podcast. It's Brady and Billy again. We have a special episode today. We are joined by Chosen Family Wines and its founder, Channing Frye, and CEO, Jacob Gray. How are y'all doing?
Wonderful.
I say what Channing says. Wonderful.
Very good, man. It's great to be connected with you guys. I think we share a lot of the same energy around wine and getting more people involved in the world of wine. And, we're excited to chat.
No, this is great. This is awesome. It's a nice change of pace from talking about basketball all the time.
Billy and I definitely aren't in the we've never been prodigies in basketball, and we're just recently becoming prodigies in wine. So
awesome. Listen, hey, I'm trying to get there. I'm selling a rookie contract, so we'll figure it out.
Might have got rookie of the year, though. I'll give you that.
We're trying.
I'd go for a scholarship at like a D3 school in wine at this point, but
Jan's got too many mouths to feed to not try to be a pro.
Ooh, yeah. You got to do it right. If you're going to do it, you got to do it right? It's just dive in. Don't put the toe in. You just got to jump right into the pool.
Well, tell us a little about how each of you, I know your kind of stories and how you got into wine are a little different. You share a little about that?
Jake, you want to go first?
Sure. I was born and raised in Davis, California, which is now known for how well their viticulture school is. I was playing basketball and drinking Bud Lights, so I wasn't a wine prodigy myself. But grew up in a family, in a household that wasn't shy about drinking some wine, sharing it. It was at big moments. Some of my parents' friends were winemakers, things of that nature. But as my life progressed, and as I think my eating good, drinking good, great conversations, kind of where my time and energy shifted, I found that a bottle of wine was always a great connector. So it just kind of opened my mind up to wanting to learn more about it. And I think organically, those things that I loved most in life were kind of trending in that direction. And then I got in the movie business and, trying to produce a film. A lot of that are dinners and conversations as well. So I think it was a natural fit for my lifestyle and the things that I was passionate about. And then I moved back to Portland, Oregon to be with my now wife about 10 years ago. And I was drawn to wine country, started going out to tastings a lot, started going to dinners, just kind of seeing how I thought this place was gold. And I thought that a lot of amazing hospitality and wine experiences and just hospitality in general was growing. So it just kind of drew my likeness. And I met Chase Renton, who's a partner of ours in Chosen Family, and I got to help launch a winery in 2015, our first vintage. And then we opened our doors in 2016. So I got to really learn my way through wine, grow a business, to brand, and kind of, from harvest to opening a tasting room to having 500 plus members to all the things that came in between. And during that time, we started doing some really charitable events for the Children's Cancer Association. And Channing, as one of my best friends, we would drink a lot of wine in this off season. I'll just say that. And in the midst of doing that, it was kind of like, what else could we be doing? So we did some dinners for the Children's Cancer Association at Longalow Estate. And man, it's just a big part of my life. I can go on for too long about that, but that started our journey, me and Channing's together. And some of those moments led to critical conversations that led us to go, if we ever did something in wine, what would that be like? What would we call it? And how would we do it different? And I think that's where Chosen Family Wines comes into our lives.
Yeah. I mean, again, I want to try to keep this as I want to say not bore you with the minutia, but basically I was like him. I was drinking beer, right? Drinking beer and whiskey. And obviously I love wine, but again, I didn't come from the culture of wine. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. It's like tequila, Coronas, and burritos, which now listen, I ain't nobody complaining, but when I came up here to Portland, I started doing wine tastings. And I was like, this vibe, this like interaction between people is almost infectious. It's, and everybody says this in the wine industry, the wine is the connector, but it really is, right? Because each place has its own story that, if in a group of 6, somebody may love the story and not like the wine, or someone may love the wine and be like, this doesn't really touch me. But like everyone's right? They have so many different touch points. And so I started to fall in love with that part. And, obviously Jake was with me on we were looking at old photos of like people who are like big dogs in the industry who we had been seeing when they were like just starting 6-7 years ago. We're like, holy shit, that was you? You lost like 50 pounds. Like, I didn't even recognize, obviously over the course of time, you're just like, wait a second. I didn't even, I forgot that was you, or that we had come to see you and then we're in a barn that didn't even exist, 8-10 years ago. So like, the people who were listening want to know like, why wine or why this or why that? And it's just like the conversation. I love eating. I love talking. Obviously I do it for all my jobs. And when you put a bottle of wine in there, it like can be something more than just the juice, right? The juice it's like a book. And each book is based on the year. And so it's like an encyclopedia of like what you think, like a painting or of what you think happened that year and your relationship with the other person, your relationship with the earth. And for me, I felt like after basketball was very factual. I felt after basketball, this was the thing that got me up in the morning, the thing that was like, man, what are we doing today? 7:00 text, 8:30 text. Like, where are we going? What are we doing? What did you have last night? What are you having tonight? Like, where, what's new? Have you tried anything nice? Like, and so like, I have my championship, for reference, I have my championship ring here, right? And I have all of our wines right next to me, right? Or in this closet here, because I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud that we've been very authentic. We've been very passionate about what, our small little business. We've been very real. We've had some real conversations, some real long conversations about how we can use not only my platform, but use each winemaker's platform, use this platform to just get people introduced into wine and take the stigma away from it and say, dude, this can be fun. This can be great. Whether you're watching a Super Bowl or you're looking at a show or you're just sitting down having a great meal, and people, now that the world is starting to open up, like, let it be the center of your table where you're like, I have been waiting to give this for you. That type of connection, with all the crazy things that are going on, you never know what people might need. And just for you to say, hey, I was thinking about you. We are going to love this. Let's make a date for this, whether it's playing gin rummy or, just talking, listening to jazz music. Just let that bottle of wine be special, a special connector between you and your people.
And that's like this. That's the sexiest thing about wine too, is that you can dress it up, dress it down, drink it on the front porch. You can take it
for sure.
Like the same bottle you can take from a Michelin 3-star, and you can take it outside, put a bonfire on, and like sit around, drink it out of a
mason jar.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. But it's just like, whatever it makes you, you're right. And I love saying that. People go, well, what do you taste? I said, what do you taste? Well, this. I say, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Do you like it? No, okay, you're right. Right? I do. You may not. I love it. You like it, whatever. You're right. So it's just a conversation. It's wild how unoften that happens, or how rare that is to have a real conversation where everyone is right.
You use the word stigma too. And I think this is wine. This is a luxury good. You don't need to look a certain way, talk a certain way, be from a certain place to drink something. And then you definitely, just because you bought or made an expensive bottle of wine doesn't mean you need to be an asshole. And whether you make a cheap one doesn't mean you can't be well thought out, well read, well traveled, and just want to make something for people to drink. And if you can't take a bottle of wine, where it was made, what year it was made in, and what went into it, and find common themes to have a great conversation with someone, you need to step your game up, right? If I go to dinner with you, you break out a Burgundy from a vintage that I was in college. If you can't find a conversation piece around that, let's go back to school and figure some things out.
Yeah. Do you guys know Andre Mack by chance?
I got a text last night. Guess who's in your backyard? And I don't know Andre. I feel like him and Channing have reached out to each other, and I think we've sent him some wine. But I think that our paths are crossing very soon, and I can't wait to meet the guy. I've heard great things about him.
Yeah, I've heard great things, and I've reached out back and forth. And anytime I see somebody making wine that much fun and entertaining, I have to give credit. He's hilarious. He's so informative.
Other people,
it's just like, it's so funny. He's like so smart about it. Yeah.
Coat door, he calls it garage door. But
right.
Yeah, no, I'm only asking because I read his book. It's like 99 bottles, and it's basically his life through a series of bottles and bottles that meant something to him at a certain period in his life. So it starts out with like Old English malt liquor and goes through anything, but he's just like, no, these mean something to me. They're special, and some are expensive, some are not. And it's really interesting how like a bottle can either pertain to a moment in your life or remind you of someone, and it doesn't matter what it is. Anything can be special at that time. So that's the main reason I was asking.
He's doing great things in the industry. Just if you're moving the culture of anything, especially something as endless as wine, give credit, right? Especially if you're trying to include everybody. And I'm a businessman at heart, so is Jake. And so we're like, wait a second. What? This is a luxury good, but why would you only appeal to the 1%? Like, this is amazing. Everybody should get a chance to try it. Everybody, right? I don't care if it's rosé. I don't care if it's Tempranillo from Sedona, Arizona, right? Like, try it out. Like, get into this, right? We need more things that bring us together in more groups,
And I think that's just like an American construct of like that exclusivity culture, because other countries like Spain or Italy, wine brings you together. Nobody talks about where it's from because it's from that place. It's just there to have a
They
good
call it table wine because it's on every table. It's like that's
exactly
that is the centerpiece.
Yeah, we've taken table wine and said, oh, it's cheap wine.
Yeah.
The wine that you bring to the table in other countries is like, man, why are you that's bottom shelf stuff, right?
Yeah, and I think to Chan's point, I just want people, whether you like it or not, that's great. Just don't think you can't do it or shouldn't try it because you have something in your mind that it's not for you, or I won't like it, or this person drinks it and I don't relate to them. It's like, it's grapes, man. It's farmed. It's people care about this, put their livelihood into it. Then it ends up in a bottle and there's booze in it and it's beautiful. It doesn't give you as much of a hangover. Like, there's so many great things that can come from this. Then let alone if you travel for it. I mean, the experiences we've had just in a year and a half of our life getting to go places because of wine. I mean, it makes you want to do it forever. I'll just say that it makes you want to do
we in this forever. I don't know where you going. I'm right here.
Well, even if we're not, we're still going to wine tasting and traveling around. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no. That's to your point. Like when I randomly decided to work a harvest, I just went to an English speaking country. It happened to be Australia. And while I was down there, a fraternity brother of mine from college, who I hadn't spoken to in years, like invited me over. And it was just like what Channing was saying. He's like, he couldn't wait to open his wine cellar and be like, just pick any bottle you want. And he's like, I've been, waiting for anybody from college to come down and visit me. And it was like, is that point though? But I wouldn't have gone to Australia if I didn't want to work a harvest somewhere that just happened to be in the, English speaking part of the world. So that's
dude, how good did that feel though? Like somebody's like, hey, I'm thinking about you. Like, and here's something that I collected in my disposable income. I go, oh crap. My friend Jake would love this. Let me grab a bottle of this. Or I can't wait till Billy, like when people come over, I can't wait, to be like, here you go, all of them. And Jake knows, like, it gets weird sometimes because I'm like, try this champagne, try these bubbles, try this. They're like, Channing, whoa. I'm like, no. Just try a little bit. I don't care. Like, I'll drink it tomorrow, the next day or whatever. And, whenever people come over, I got like 10 wines out and I'm talking, oh, you like this AVA? You like this? Hey, this Washington Cabernet versus the California versus a Paso Robles. Do you taste the difference? Oh, I didn't know. So if your budget is $25 versus $50, maybe you should try this so that you know what you want. But like, the passing of education and opportunity is a must in this. Like, if you know more than the next person, you have to tell them.
What Channing just described is basically that's about our ethos. Like, he just gave you his personal ethos. That is our brand ethos. Like, what AVAs do you like? What places are great? What kind of wines are they making? What would you want to share with someone? And then how would you share with them an expensive wine and a little more affordable wine so they can learn the difference in these regions? We are literally trying to do that with our portfolio of wines. We are traveling. We're in the industry. Our friends are in the industry. We travel for it. If we're a trusted source for you, because we're going to keep it real with you, we are literally putting in our life's work, our time, our energy to find great, not only great wines from great places, but the people that are doing it. We're lucky enough where we don't have to play with anyone and no one has to play with us if it doesn't make sense. We're just trying to share amazing people that care about their farming practices, how they make it. this is art at the end of the day. They're sharing their stuff with them. And we're just going like, yo, that's amazing. Let's create that for us if we can figure it out. Like, obviously we're not trying to rip anyone off. We're like literally just trying to be a voice for the industry and a voice for people. And we want to share great wines. And then we have palates and we like to share, like, if our friends trust us to bring great bottles of wine to the table. I want you, if you follow our journey, you're going to know if you buy our product, you're going to get some good wine, right? Regardless of price point, we're going to do everything we can to deliver the best quality product we can. And we're going to put our time and energy behind that. And to Channing's point, like a lot of brands, which is great, you have to focus on, I own a piece of property here. I have to farm it for a decade to get a return and start the game. What if you could, like, if you come to dinner at our house, we're going champagne to Barolo and everything in between. What if a brand can kind of teach some of those things, create those things? So I think being in 2022, being a little nimble and flexible and seeing this industry growing, progressing, and being, like, we've gotten a lot of compliments that we're not thinking or doing what everyone else is doing, right? But I think we can get away with it and do it right because we are not sacrificing the end game, which is good wine. We're going to give you great wine to drink. And if you trust us, we're going to show you great wines from all over the place.
Yeah, that's what's been fun. I would never go to Walla Walla. And I'm like, damn, when are we going back? No,
now you call me tomorrow to go next week. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, hey, when are we going back? Right. Like, I tried wines that I would never even think of. Like, I've never been to Paso Robles and I can't wait to go. I've been to Santa Barbara. I can't wait to go back. I was going to places in Napa I didn't even know existed. And so, like, I'm like, but it's not just the wine. The wine is itself. The people I'm meeting are like, dude, holy crap. Why doesn't more people know about this? Right. And so I get to, I could send a tweet or a text and reach 500,000 people, right? So I'm using my platform to be like, hey, I get the blessing to work with this guy who I thought was cool, who's an awesome human being and also makes great wine. So we want to do a little bit that's just so it doesn't take away from his regular job. So it's like a little collaboration. And then, hey, when we run out, I'm sending you, if you like what we do, you go to that guy and support the crap out of him. And the people that we've had the opportunity to make wine with, I'm members at their places. I buy way too much of their wine. Like, I love these people to death. I'm on, we text all the time. Like, hey, I saw you were here. I drink this or doing that. And I'm just excited to meet more awesome people from around the world and around the country.
I don't want to be too chosen family really is what it is, right? And if you stand on something and you believe in something, I mean, me and Chan I think, great people to know, great people to hang out with. We support the shit out of people and we empower people and we love telling people about stuff that we love, but we're also not pushovers. So we're not just going to do this for anyone. We're not like trying to just maximize profits in the wine industry. I don't even, what I mean? Like, we're literally fighting with each other.
We're in the wrong industry for that.
Yeah.
We're in the wrong
what
industry
inventory can we get? Where can we get it from? Where should, like, it's just been it's an amazing journey to build this thing. Channing's talking to like in a good way, tribal, like it's a tribe. You're meeting your people, right? You're getting to share these things with people. And we've been really lucky to bump into a lot of chosen family along the way. And I can only imagine where that's going. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, do you guys want to, so the name Chosen Family, can you guys just elaborate? I loved when we first spoke about how you guys, it literally is your chosen people, I guess, that you want to be around. Can you did it just come up serendipitously or like, it's just when you guys choosing your people regularly?
I'll let the big guy start there.
Well, so, I think for me, wine has evolved from fun wine tasting to, holy crap, I like this, to, oh, what clone is that? Right. And, like figuring all that stuff. But I still have that initial love of like really who I am as a person and what makes me happy. And that's camaraderie. I'm a social butterfly in some sorts. And, during my life when 2016, really, when I won a championship, that same year, both my parents died. And so I was just like depressed, basically. I mean, honestly, like clinically, probably. So like there were very few things that would make me happy. I would go to practice and I'm just like doing what I have to do. And then I'm coming home and being around my family made me happy. And then I'd have different friends come over. My teammates would go to dinner with me. And what I noticed was what really kind of was the coal in my engine, right, as a train, was the camaraderie, laughing, talking, the empathy. I think when people see you in a weird space, they tend to lend themselves a little bit more to you. So the friends and the brothers that I made, not only on my team, but obviously, Jake and my guy Doug and DB and my brother, obviously, was really kind of molded me and made me appreciate them 1,000-fold. Right? It's just not always your family that's going to take care of you. It's a family that's eating and breaking bread with you. That, when I was in Phoenix and I needed somebody to take care of my kid for a day because Lauren was out of town, I trusted my boy DB to come take care of my kid, right? It's like, it's tough to do that, right? And I say that easily, but it's like I have one brother and no parents, no grandparents. So for me, that is like everything, right? Everything to have that camaraderie, to sit down at dinner, to have big groups of people where we talk and we share about what's going on with life. I think since COVID, we've gotten away from that a lot, right? For obvious reasons. But to get back to that is going to heal America, I think, in my opinion. I think it's going to heal each person because you realize you're not going through anything by yourself, right? When you're in your house, you're talking to yourself and you're like, I'm here I'm here alone. When you are eating dinner, cooking for somebody, pouring a glass for somebody, what do you want to do? That lending of yourself heals, and it healed me to be around them. And so the chosen family is the people, and the name is, as a long-winded story, is the name. It comes from, you get to choose your family because those are the people that you want to think about. You want to spend time with. You want to be real with them because they know they're going to be real with you, and they hold you accountable. They lift you up. They give you a hug. They congratulate you when you're doing well. There's no hate. You're always trying to do better for each other, And
then that extends to all. I know Channing very well, and I know this. I've been part of this journey, but hearing it in that capacity, brother, you almost got me. You're a legend.
Shit. Sorry.
No, that was awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
But like all the things he just said extends to when you know who your chosen family is. You witness it time after time about literally who you share your favorite wines with as well, right? Like, if you don't like wine, just don't be the person when your friends care about it and they open something great to just be like, it all tastes the same. At least give them that credit so you can stay at the table. But honestly, though, like when you have these moments, right? And I'm lucky enough to still have my folks. We're all getting older. The time that we see each other isn't as much. I'm a zero kid. So when I say my buddies are my brothers, they're my brothers. That's what I got. It's who I lean on, to Chan's point. But as we've matured and we've gotten older in our time, it's the only commodity we can't buy is time. And me and Channing talk to each other. It's amazing how little we can see each other, or how much we do see each other. But you're trying to find these moments with the people you care about the most. And when you add wine into that and you see who you're sharing it with and who's around during these times, it's your chosen family. It just is that simple. And I always thought if we could deliver something that meant that much to us, for it to resonate at all on the other side, to go like, this is a dope name, this wine's good. If that doesn't trigger something to go like, I want to share this with my chosen family, then I don't know that we know what we were doing on the branding side. But it comes from a very real place.
Man, and wine is like such a teacher of generosity too. I mean, when I first started really like, okay, these are my bottles. I've got them in my fridge. Like, these are for special occasions. Folks would come over and I'd find myself like stoop down, like look in, see, what do I got? Oh, like, do I want to bring this out? Like, are they going to appreciate and every time I had that gut response of like, oh man, that's my good bottle, I can't bring that out. I'm like, no, I have to bring it out now because like, this is a way to show the generosity of it, because man, like, it's not hard, to sit down at a table with buddies who aren't super into wine and pull out $200-$400 worth of wine. They like never know it, right? But you're like sharing something like that's, one maybe costs you a little bit, but also is like important to you. It's a special year, a special producer, and to share that and like to tell that story, I mean, man, like teaches you so much, right?
Totally. I think, my boys, we were not into wine, and they've been wine tasting with me, and they were like, dude, we love this. When can we do it again? And so now Jake and I have turned into, if you come to Oregon, you got to call Channing and Jake, right? They're like, where are you going? What are you drinking? How you doing? And like now it's gotten to the point where we have the opportunity, because we're in the industry, to go to more places and people may know about. So like I'm giving a case to a friend, be like, hey, my cellar is a little full. I'm thinking about you. I know you drink. try these and tell me what you like. And he's sending me texts on the big text chain like, yo, you guys got to get this, or you got to try this, or I didn't know I like GSMs, or I didn't know this Merlot tastes good, which Merlot is coming back. I'm sorry to tell everybody. Merlot is coming back, right? And so, just, again, it's the camaraderie. It's a point of conversation where people go like, it doesn't matter if it's a $35 bottle of wine. If you found a sick $35 bottle of wine, Chosen Family Wines, then you bring it over. Bring a case of that over, right? Like the price doesn't matter unless you're trying to get something old world. Well, then we doing big ball stuff, but we could do that too. But again, if that's what you're excited about, like tell me about why it makes you excited. I like the price isn't whatever. Yeah. Tell me it's first growth, right? Tell me you've been to Bordeaux and that you met the winemaker and that you had a great time. That you went to a wedding over there and these crazy stories and how this changed your whole palate because you're finally tasting what wine is really supposed to taste like. Like, tell me about these things. Or just say, hey, get the Franzia, get the chillable red. We'll slap the bag for a little bit. And we're going to be hungover as shit the next day.
Slap that bag.
Dude, if you did not slap the bag and you're in the wine industry, I don't respect your palate.
Man, you got to go you do have to go to Paso. You got to go to Tablas and get their new bag, their box rosé. You can,
oh, really?
You can do a whole campaign with them, chanting.
Man, listen, I'm going to tell you this. I could doctor up some wine. I could doctor up some bad wine easily.
Slap the bag GSM.
Slap the bag GSM. You just got to freeze the shit out of it.
Oh, man. That's funny.
Surprisingly enough, though, from a wine nerd side, bags are pretty good at storing wine. I think there's going to be more nice wine in bags just because there's
really
oxygen. Yeah, like you can't. The way it goes down, there's less exposure to the oxygen. You can keep the wine for a really long time. So so you're going to start seeing better wines in bags and boxes.
I go camping for a week, and I have been trying to figure out a way to have, because we like go camping, like hardcore camping. So like we'd sit and play Beersby on the lake, and I'm like drinking beer, and I'm like, God, I need some rosé. It's like nice outside. If I can figure out the way to put rosé in a bag, a big drum of rosé for a week, I would do that all day.
What is it, on a backpack?
Is it 3 liters,
yes.
Billy? Is that what it is from the Tablas rosé? Yeah, it's 3 liters in a box, $95. Tablas Creek in Paso. Shout out Tablas Creek.
They make pretty good wine too. I've had a bunch of Tablas.
Oh, it's killer. Yeah. Also, Paso itself is everything that y'all are talking about in terms of like the people that come in and just want you to like drink good wine and like be good folks. That's just all of Paso Robles.
I went to college for a few years down in San Luis Obispo, which is like 20 minutes from there. But I was not drinking. My parents would make me take them wine tasting every once in a while, but again, I was still drinking shitty beers and doing other things.
So I have a question for you guys, just because we're here. It's hard you want to be experts in your own hometown. And so from you guys in the new world, obviously, I think what I'm hearing is Santa Barbara's blowing up a lot right now. St. Louis Obispo is blowing up right now, SLO. And so like, where else do you think that's next in America? Is it like Riesling from upstate New York? Is it like, they'll say Moscato from Atlanta? I don't know what it is. Like, what's next?
You're asking that's a rabbit hole question for me. So I would say Santa Barbara's there. Oregon's obviously coming around. We are one of our good friends.
Wait, can we stop there let's stop there for just 2 seconds. I had a healthy debate just the other day. Santa Barbara versus Oregon Pinot Noirs. So you think Santa Barbara is in a better spot domestically and internationally from a quality standpoint of Pinot Noir versus Oregon right now?
No. I would say only in notoriety. I would flip it. I prefer Willamette Valley Pinot Noirs over, and you could see my cellar, and that's there. We were actually just up there a couple of weeks ago, and it was really interesting. The most interesting Pinot Noir I had was from a producer, and we had them next to each other. So there's one like Santa Maria Valley, somewhere closer to the coast. They had a small plot of vines on Catalina Island, off the coast here in the Channel Islands. And I had a Pinot and a Chard from there. And those were amazing because there's like the salinity. I don't know if it's just from the soil or from the constant breezes, but those were two of the most interesting wines I had while up there. And I came home with a bottle of the Chardonnay because it tasted kind of like a Chablis, actually.
So interesting in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
Because when sometimes you say interesting, you be like, well, that was interesting.
Well, that's what I had to train my significant other when we go wine tasting and she doesn't like it. That's what she has to say now. Because before she would just say that in front of the winemaker, like, I don't like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, wait. No, so answer the question. Yeah.
No, so New World. I just got back from Valle de Guadalupe. So that Mexico question a while back wasn't a farce. I've been there a few times. It's really distinct terroir. It has this like salinity, but I think when you find the right wines there, that's really interesting. I think it's on the up. They're still learning.
Mexico City.
No, it's out by like Baja. It's
by like Tijuana. If you go east for like
I know some people have been down there. So Chan, anyways.
But yeah, they're just starting to get more expertise in like the late 90s. So they're still trying to find exactly what they've been growing vines there for hundreds of years since the Spanish. But I think that's really interesting. Something that's really far off on the radar, but I want to start trying them is I've been talking to a guy who's making wine in Vermont now. His name's like David Keck. He's the master of wine. He's making these like very small, or no, he's a master of some. Either way, it doesn't matter. He's making this very small plot of land basically, and he's using a lot of hybrids. And they're basically producing high acid wines that are very drinkable. And he's like, it seems like more of an old world palate, but I think once you get past the stigma of hybrids and something that's a little higher acid, it's going to be like people are going to really be chugging along with it. So those are two that are kind of on my radar right now. And then I've heard great things about Texas, to be honest, as well, but I haven't been down there and tasted yet.
Somebody said something about Austin.
Yeah, Hill Country was like outside.
Yeah.
That was what my answer to that question was going to be, Texas, but I would say, somewhere outside of Austin too. It sounds like none of us know where that's actually happening yet.
Yeah.
Brady, you got to rep Virginia there.
I was rolling that around too. I think Virginia, especially for old world palates, is underrated.
What kind of varietals is that?
Cab Franc, Merlot. Just thinking.
The state grape's technically Viognier, but nobody really knows
Viognier,
why. I think it was when California Viognier was catching on, and they were like, "We need to have a grape people know."
I was talking to someone in, I think they live in DC. They said they thought the two best New World places right now was New York, Finger Lakes, and then Oregon was their opinion. Obviously, Napa and Sonoma are hard to even debate about because they set the standard. I think Walla Walla is very much underrated. So I think if you took your Mexico and you went even across the American border to the Okanagan, which is outside of Vancouver, BC, which can make some really good wines, it's hard to say that the best of the best isn't on the West Coast from in between those regions, from Santa Barbara to Oregon. Walla Walla is a little east of us and hotter, but I think that's the learning curve, right? I think that what is Vermont doing? What is Virginia? I know every state basically makes some wine. It's just
who's
actually getting in the store. Like, are we drinking it? Is anyone drinking it that you trust? You know what I mean? And I think that's
In fact, I don't know if anybody's drinking wine in Nebraska.
Well, I think talking about like Paso too and SLO, it's everything that people don't like about Napa in terms of like, it's not stuffy. It's not, $80 million tasting facilities. It's Paso, it's down to earth. You can actually afford the wines and you can drink them like right now. So you think about like Paso Cab, I mean, you can get a killer Paso Cab, $40 to $50, a third of the price that, you're going to pay up in Napa. I think that's, while it's been on the map for a little bit now, there's over 215 wineries.
It's a lot now.
It's crazy dense.
Yeah, Chan, we got to go spend a couple days there soon.
Yeah.
I worked at
we got some work to do.
Yeah, no, I worked at a producer that for like a little over a year and a half that made wine from Paso and Monterey. And speaking of interesting New World Paso or Pinot, if you want to compare, I would say sit down and do a Santa Barbara, a Monterey, you could even do like San Lucia Highlands or something, and then an Oregon one. And they're distinctly different. One is because of those transverse winds from Santa Barbara. And then in Monterey, you have that fog, but also this weirdly like strong sunlight. So you get like really ripe fruit, but the fog keeps the acid there. But then neither of them, you can tell they're both from really warmer, sunny places. When you compare it to like an Oregon, those secondary notes and sometimes the tertiaries that come out in an Oregon one, I don't get those as much in the California Pinots. And that's kind of like my tell when I'm like trying to look at them or gauge them. So
Billy,
Big on tertiary
if we're not doing this tasting with you, we're going to wrestle next time I see you.
Yeah.
Doing like the most obscure West Coast Pinot Noirs, different terroirs, terriers, secondary, like we got to try those, man. That'd be fun. Oregon versus that's a blind tasting. That would be a lot of fun. We got
we bring some Virginia wine too.
Yeah, late night. We'll party with that night. Me and Chan got our heads blown off a little bit by how good some Sonoma Coast Pinot was. Now, obviously, Sonoma and Napa have the brands and the people that you would assume all these things. I think that it's most known for its, Bordeaux varietals or Cab and all that stuff. But when you get coastal, you get into the Russian River and you get out to the Sonoma Coast. We had some friends just go, you got to trust us on this. You got to come try some of these wines. And we were lucky enough to get not only try some barrels, but get some barrels into Chosen Families, our world, through some winemaker friends of ours that are at Nickel and Nickel and have their own brand, Salty Goats. But we were sitting there, because I think, inherently we were like, we wanted to support them and go like, yeah, I'm sure there's good wines there. But if Oregon is easygoing as we are, we're getting a little like, dude, these people are making some serious wines up here. I think the Pinot Noir and Chardonnay coming from Willamette Valley is world class. So I think we know that we are there, like quality wise. So going other places for Pinot Noir, you're going like, ooh, I don't know. And we were really impressed, man. And I'm excited to learn more, visit it. I know how beautiful it is as well. A lot of the coastal places, like the best wines are grown in the prettiest places. It's kind of a cool thing to see,
Are those wines coming from further? I know they're trying to plant further and further west in Sonoma, and it gets colder, and I think that's when you can get some really, really interesting stuff out there.
Oh, it's done, and into the foothills too. There's some really small AVAs in California that would be like, oh shit, there's like rogue farmers. It's kind of doing their thing, but there's some sought out wines from those that I don't know that I know them that well, but they're out there for sure.
Yeah, ours is from Fort Ross Seaview. Right, I think it's 3 miles from the coast. So
that's west, yeah.
These dudes put their foot when somebody says, "Oh, this is our first year making Pinot. We love Pinot. We do naturally Cab," and then he makes a crazy SB too, which blew my mind. My wife loves Chardonnay, and is like a Chardonnay. I'm not gonna call her an expert, but when you only drink one type of wine, like you're got to be good at it.
A fiend.
She's pretty picky. Yeah, fiend. This SB that they made was crazy. Like, what the heck is this? This is like everything I would think. But dude, these dudes, Salty Goats, absolutely crushed what they did on their first year. And, for us, like to have all these, I love being like, here's our $35 Pinot. Here's our, Longolo Estate where Jake works, or Chase, that's his place. And that is like, you could see that the 2 different years we have. And then you bring in like a California Pinot, people can see oh man, I didn't know there was such a big difference in style. And it's been awesome.
We got to bring you guys this aged, this 2014 SB from Virginia here that we had, Billy and I tasted recently. What to bring that out to you. Would it have had how many years did they keep it in bottle before they even released it? I forget what it was.
It was a lot longer than you'd expect.
Yeah, it was I think they had it in bottle for 5 or 6 years. I think they just released it last year or something like that.
Damn.
Crazy.
Yeah. So on your other point, though, I guess I'll turn this back around. You guys, outside of traditional varietals and regions you think are growing cool things, what grapes are you randomly into? Because I think to answer one of your questions earlier from my side, I've been on a weird Blau Fränkisch Zweigelt kind of kick, like Austrian red grapes, because I think they're high acid and they can retain that even when they ripen. So they're growing some cool ones of those in the Finger Lakes. So I think something like that. Like if you ask me Finger Lakes Riesling, I'm fine with that. But I'd liked the Blau Fränkisch from there. So I think, what do you guys think is kind of a cool or emerging grapes that people should be looking out for?
I just want Channing to pronounce that word you just used.
Dude, the Blauvlugen?
You wanted that blah. You're the man,
no, dude. I've actually, and again, I like where my disposition is because I understand what you're talking about, but I also go I'm into blends now, like old world blends, and I think not enough people kind of dabble in that. When people see red blend, they're like, for the most part, it's Merlot, right? People just say red blend because that's sideways, but like it's Merlot based and people just don't get it, right? They're like, oh, well, I don't like Merlot. Stop it. You've been drinking Merlot for 20 years. Like you just didn't know it. So yeah, blends have been big on me because I'm, cabs, the tannins tear my teeth off sometimes. And so like, I'm a Pinot guy. And so I like to have different levels of fruit and especially dark fruit, but not have like tannins tear my tongue off my lips.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I used to, multiple winemakers I've talked with over the years have always said like the misconception's wrong. The best wines are blends because they literally take the best lots and they make it perfectly balanced as opposed to just trying to force a single varietal from a single year.
That's a great point. I think that's a very interesting point and a true point. It's kind of like that when you start getting into like specific wines, right? This vintage from this place of this, clone from, this ridge and they have different blocks. Like there's something just insane about really seeing that get pulled off and living up to what it can be. But I think it's interesting to put it that way because it's like very rarely are you taking those wines, depending on how many barrels you have and what type of barrels they are, with a blend of different varietals, and they're literally getting to make a wine, right? Like you're taking the winemakers who are just insane with palate and vision and the ability to blend things, getting to blend the best of the best of the best to just literally make a wine. So it's interesting to think of that. I think one of the sleeper, they planted a bit of Gamay in Willamette Valley. I know a bunch of winemakers here that like it and drink it. I haven't turned you're going to look at my cellar and you might be find 1 to 100 Gamays versus Pinot Noirs, but I'm open to it. And there is some good producers. I saw Blancs from Napa, which surprised me. Like Chan said, we went up to Walla Walla, and I think I was going to Walla Walla for Syrah, which I still haven't gotten away from that. And then I think, GS, there's some great blends to Chan's point. I had a Merlot or two that really surprised me, like really, really surprised me. And then I had a Cab or two that blew my mind from specific places. I don't drink
Red Mountain.
much. Yeah, Red Mountain did some really
Red Mountain Cabernets, guys.
Yeah.
And there's a district in Walla Walla called the Rocks that I think is the most unique AVA in America, probably.
Oh,
so it's like
really?
Walla Walla is a big place and they make great wines. Then there's this AVA within it that's like flat, rocky, crazy, and the wines definitely have their own. Sometimes it can be too much, too funky, but like the idea that's there and you can add some funk and texture to a wine and just change the dynamic of it that way, which can be really appealing. It can be pretty cool. So I think, those varietals caught me off guard. I haven't gotten anything too obscure, like where I'm like, I don't know that, but those were the ones that surprised me, I think, most so far.
Yeah, I'd say Washington has some really cool AVAs, like Red Mountain, the one you were talking about, the Rocks, and then Horse Heaven Hills too is what place we had on. And like the weird part about that is just they're so far from like urban centers. That's been their main downfall. They have great fruit. They're so far though from infrastructure. It's been like really hard to just bring all those grapes properly into a winery and vinify them and then market them, have people come see them. So
and they're both on the Oregon-Washington border, which you always think it's just Washington. So for doing business can get a little trickier. And then there's no airport out there. So you can't even fly in there. You got to drive, which I don't mind the road trip, but like from a tourism standpoint, not everyone's got a private jet to land in the middle of a vineyard.
It's gonna be tough from Virginia to get out there.
Yeah.
You're probably driving from Seattle or Portland.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, let me fly 5.5 hours to drive another 4 hours.
Right, exactly.
You could be in Champagne, and you could be in Champagne in the same amount of time.
I was just trying to convince my girlfriend to do that from LA, and she's like, "No, we have to fly then drive that far." I'm good. We'll just stay. We'll go to the Willamette if we're gonna fly to Portland then.
Yeah.
Both. You extend that trip. That's the way to do it. If you came up to Portland and you have 5 days to a week one time, you come to Willamette, then you go to Walla Walla, then you work your way back or fly out of Portland.
Well, that makes sense.
I'm front loading it. We're flying to Paris on Thursday and then driving like our whole trip in France. So by the time I fly to Seattle and drive Washington and Oregon, it's going to be easy.
Dude, that's a great. We did that when we went to France.
Oh, you drove?
We drove to like Nice, Bordeaux. We drove all those places. Like it was the best. We're doing cruising.
Champagne, Alsace, Burgundy, and the Alps. We're doing the Alps too.
I want to do all. I just did Champagne for a day, but I haven't done anything else in France.
I did Bordeaux for a day, and luckily the driver that we had was super cool and knew who I was, which I didn't assume anything, right? And he was like, "Hey, I have a huge surprise for you. I'm actually the official driver of Louis Vuitton." So he's like, "I called in a favor for you." I was like, "Okay, cool." So we went to one place, which was amazing. And the next thing you know, I'm like at a gate and I'm like, "Is that Petrus?" And we like pull up to Petrus and the winemaker comes out and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And it was one of the most beautiful places. Like, you're just like, holy shit. Like, I get it. Right. And I made enough money to be okay with like a $3,000 bottle. And I would tell you, quality wise, the 3,000 is underselling. Wow. Like, it is so good. When you taste a bottle that you're like, damn, this changed my life. Those bottles change lives, especially in the wine sense.
I've never had a sip of it.
Oh my goodness.
It's just like you buy $3,000 bottles of wine. You have one bottle of Petrus in your cellar?
No.
Okay. But we should fix that. That sounds amazing.
Sounds like
no. I
will say Petrus is one of the few brands at that elite level. Screaming Eagle, Petrus. I've never heard someone say a bad word about them. I know a few others that are the most expensive wines in the world, and people have had good or bad vintages. I know I've read about someone trying a bunch of Petruses and say which one was better vintage wise, but I've never really had someone go, "Oh, Petrus is not that good," or
they keep it for 20 years. So by the time you get it, it is like perfect. Like, what was crazy, I tried the 2018. So they they had a certain amount of glasses, and it's hot in Bordeaux, right? And there's no AC in this chateau. Sweating. So like, me, I'm a big sipper. So I just was like, I guzzled that thing. And the winemaker gave me a huge hug. And he was like, "About time somebody wants to just drink the wine." And I was like, "People spit this out?" He was like, "You'd be shocked." I was like, "Holy crap." He was like, "Here, try this one on me." I was like, "Yes." No, but it's funny. Just, especially because it's Merlot too. People don't even.
That's what I was about to say.
But the blue clay
making a comeback. Yeah.
Well, the old world, Goliath, Petrus. There's a few producers that a lot of people drink and spend money on, whether they know what they're drinking or not, just because of the brand. That's just Merlot in Italy and France, right? And you're going like, just ask some questions. Don't be afraid. Like, it's not, it is what it is.
Over 60% of the grapes grown in Bordeaux are Merlot. So it's like most time, if you get a Bordeaux blend, you're going to have Merlot.
Yeah.
So
I think Cab Franc is coming back, even though it's, obviously that's your grandpa's wine, but like, it's coming.
You're not helping it come back.
Well,
I'm saying it's delicious. No,
I've never heard.
I was saying, I would just say that's just not as well known. Where your grandpa's like, "Oh, I've had plenty of that." But like, we had one of the best ones I've had, and just in the New World was Walla Walla Gramercy Cellars. 15 was great. I think it was 13 or 15.
That was a
really
good
producer.
A friend of ours in the wine industry that works at Christum, which is one of our favorite producers in the Willamette Valley. She saw that we were there and she texted Channing. We were with the winemaker. She's like, "Ask him if he's got any of this distinct wine." And he's like, "How do you even know about that wine?" And that's what he brought out. And we were like, okay. Oh, and then there was they also Grenache can hit and miss for me. I don't want to talk down on anything. Dude, they had a Grenache and we had a couple Grenaches there, and GSM, obviously it's in a blend, but that can be a really fun wine when it's done by the right people, the right hands.
Oh yeah, agreed. I mean, that one, the Grenache is wild because it just grows so much on the vine that like if you don't tend it right or something, it can just become this sweet overripe thing or bland and made into rosé. But I've had some right with you guys. Same thing when I was in Australia. Like, I knew nothing about the sub regions. Everybody hears about the famous ones, so I would just have random people bring out stuff they've been cellaring for 20 years and waiting to share with like somebody so they could show them what Australian wine really is like. And then they would bring out Merlots or Grenache. One of my favorite wines I ever had was it's got by Young Gara in McLaren Vale, the 2010 Grenache, 100% from like sandy soil. And it was like so interesting, complex, like had some chocolate notes, but like you would never describe it as a Grenache if I didn't like tell you what it was. It was fascinating.
Australian wines are for me, in my story, are either like, holy crap, this is the best, or this is interesting, right? Like way over here interesting, where I'm just like, get this jungle out of my mouth. Like it's too big. Like there's no such thing as too big, but I'm saying it was too big and too ripe, I think. So it could have been the bottle, it could have been the producer. But then I've also had stuff where I go, holy crap, that is like luscious, you know?
Agreed. Now, I had one bottle. I was there. So the vintage I worked was 2018. I had a bottle that I found like in the grocery store. It's a really small town there. That was 2008. So we were at like a local Australian football match recently, and they were like, "Oh, that's the winemaker who made that wine that you just bought." And I walked up to him, and I was like, "Oh, hey man, like I just got your 2008. Like so surprised I could find it 10 years later." He's like, "Oh, that was a big year." And I was like, "But what does that mean?" He's like, "Oh, we held it back for a little while." And then I was like, "All right, cool." So then I opened it up. This is the most tannic thing I ever had. So I left it open for 2 weeks and tasted it like every other day for 2 weeks, and it didn't really mellow out until like 2 weeks down the line. It was like drinkable. And I was like,
was it Madeira?
No, but it wasn't even oxidized at that point.
Listen here, mate, put that back on the shelf, right?
Yeah, I was about to be like, I get it. And that's why nobody else in that area was buying it. So I was like,
dude,
okay.
You're like 2050. Oh, this is approachable.
Yeah.
To be a Grenache story for me, which not to be too much of a name dropper, but me and Channing and Chase, when we went to Walla Walla for our first time, we had a really good visit with Drew Bledsoe and Josh at Doubleback. And they're making some really good wines. And one of the Merlots I was speaking about came from them. But like for someone that has an athletic background who's done it right, I think he's someone that we respect a lot. But we went out to dinner with him, which was fun to say the least. And at the end of the night, we handed him the wine list, and I was curious what he would order. Like he's the king of Walla Walla in a way, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like they have, and we're at their local steakhouse. So the Walla Walla section in this wine list is probably the best that there can be in a sense. And from I remember the producer, which I don't know if I should say or not, but he ordered a Walla Walla Grenache actually, which was like, whoa. He's like, I don't know that I've had this. I think it was Horsepower from Cayuse. And he's like, I want to try this Grenache. And for someone that loves their wines he loves their wines, right? And he talks about all the great producers there. To see him order that wine always stuck out to me. I dug it. I was like, that's fun for us to try it. And to see someone, that's like us being at a Willamette Valley restaurant and ordering a Gamay or a Syrah from Christum. Like there's some hidden gems out there, right? So it's always fun to explore places because you never know what you're going to see or get.
Yeah, I've read that he's doing it right in terms of trying to like do good farming and actually make great wine rather than just put his name on some project and like say I make wine. I've always kind of
I thought his Merlot was one of the best wines we had, which changed my whole attitude towards it. Like I thought it was not more. I would say I just use the word approachable, but like more drinkable and more like holy crap. Like I don't mind cellaring this, but I could also like leave this open for an hour and crush it.
For being youthful, it had some real nice elegance and finesse. We were like, okay. And Josh, their winemaker, is the man, Josh McDaniel. And him and Drew have done a lot. They just bought an incredible property in the Willamette Valley. So just,
right, yeah, saw that.
Salute to them. They're awesome, but getting to share wines with them and go out with Drew and again, seeing him order that wine at the end of the night, always stuck out to me. I thought it was cool.
So I know we've been chatting for a while, but I am curious, where do you guys in the Willamette, do you have favorite AVAs or sub AVAs right now? I know it's all interesting, but what are you guys drinking from there?
Well,
you want to go first or?
No. You can do it. You can say whatever you want.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You should go first.
I think for me, there's some certain places, like some of my favorite places. This is hard.
It gets harder and harder too. Honestly, the truth is the AVA system, I mean, that's not system. The AVAs are incredible and they've come up with some new ones. So I'm behind on the learning curve for a couple of the younger AVAs. But the beauty of it, when you get to know it, to try to think that you're just a Dundee Hills person, a Ribbon Ridge person, it's just not true. There's so many great producers. There's so many great vintages. There's so many great sites and sub blocks and things like this. The ability to try them. And then I think it's one of the greatest places. I haven't been to Burgundy. I'm sure it's a great place to learn about Pinot Noir, but to have a what you think Pinot is, anything you think you know about Pinot, and you come to Oregon and you spend 3 or 4 days actually going to each AVA and trying, your whole paradigm is going to shift. And then the quality of it consistently, you're going to go, wow, that's incredible. So it's a loaded question. It's a hard one. Do we have some favorite producers? Absolutely. Is there some sites in the Ribbon Ridge? Absolutely. Yola, Amity? Absolutely. I think the Yola, I always said Eola and they say Yola. I think that's like the wild, wild west. And there's it's bigger, it's further away. It gets real high elevations. You're getting out towards the Pacific Ocean. I think that there's some stuff going on out there that just, in Lingua Franca, Bethel Heights, Christum, Walter Scott, producers that are just,
I could probably tell you, I think if I had favorite bottles of like,
I work in the Dundee Hills, just to say that. I love the Dundee Hills.
Yeah. I think 16 Chardonnay from Longolo Estate was one of my favorite. 15 Beaufrere was one of my favorite. That's in Ribbon Ridge. I'm not gonna lie. I really like our 2020 Chardonnay. And I'm not hyping it up. I'm just saying I really like what that is.
We had a 2010 the other night that was great. That's such a trick question.
Again, so now I'm like, damn, I do like Antica Terra. 2018 was really, really good. But then also I like Granville's 2020. Man, and then not even to get in the Pinot part, it's like, what do we have? 2013 Christum, 2016 Longolo was nuts. A 99 or a 2006 Beaufrere?
Both, hopefully.
Yep, the
that 15 Sequitur was insane.
15 Sequitur, insane. Ribbon Ridge.
Well, I guess what I was trying, rather than I didn't mean to put you guys in a corner there, but I was thinking more like the soils too. I guess there's there's Jory soil, there's the volcanic soil, the last time I was up there, we were at one of our stops was Adelsheim, but no matter where you were though, when you start looking through those, you can start noticing the differences of just the soil type. So I guess that's what I was kind of getting at. I was like, not just the AVA, but it's just kind of interesting the distinct styles that can come out of Willamette.
Oh, for sure.
Just by that alone. I think Jory's probably the hero soil, like on the most sites and on the most great sites. But yes, you'll go to certain sites and they have 4 different volcano eruptions on one place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are we fucking Hawaii?
Well, it's just wild. Like when you're there tasting and you picture like a giant glacier lake, the ice just falling down and all of these pebbles just like rolling to the Pacific Ocean, and now you're drinking wine that was on top of that. Like whenever they told me those stories, I was like, wow, that's
If you haven't been to the Willamette Valley, I'm from California originally, and Channing's from Arizona originally. Neither of us probably had any idea we'd end up in Portland, Oregon for any part of our lives. We both raise our families here, all the things here, eat and drink and play here. Dude, the Willamette Valley, man, is one of the prettiest places in the world.
Oh, people are dope. If you go on your website too, it's all y'all in the Channing's stomping grapes in the pictures on the website. How involved are y'all? Do you try every time you can get up there and prune and do work? Are you doing that, or kind of what does it look like? How involved do you like to get?
Yeah, I think there's a picture of you corking bottles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh God, dude, fuck me. It still hurts. It still hurts. So the joy of us is that the joy in what's hard is that we can't be everywhere at once, because we source grapes from Walla Walla. We have somebody make our Syrah in Oregon. We have another winemaker make 2 wines for us here. We have Bubbles. We have something in Sonoma Coast, Napa Valley, right? So for us, we try to be as involved as necessary without interrupting the already due process, because we're just saying we love what you do. Just give us a chance to do something that's uniquely ours. But our process does involve us learning about the place, talking to the guy, like to the winemaker, seeing what his ethos is. Does it work with us? Like, is it this type of soil? Was it a rainy year? Was it a hot year? Like, if you were to try our 18 and 19 Pinot versus, from Longolo Estate versus our, 19 and 20 Chardonnay, there's a vast difference in how it's made. But that's what we want, because we want a true representation of that year. So if you have a 19, 20, 21, 22, you're going to say, holy shit, like, I love where this is going, because we're going to tell you what the difference was, right? We're informed on that level.
Speaking for myself, and one of the beauties of Chosen is me and Channing are who we are in general. Chase, one of our business partners, is a winemaker, owns a vineyard, has vineyard managers that we know. Like I've worked harvest before. I never want to do it again. Like, to know who we are and what we want to be doing. Has Channing been involved in every capacity? I think it's usually like when athletes get involved with stuff, people think they just put their name on something, right? I don't know that there's anyone in our space, and I don't want to, it's hard to say that because we know other people in our space and we respect them and like them, but I don't think anyone lives this in any capacity like Channing Frye does. His hands-on approach on both business and the production of it, how inquisitive he is and how much he's learned. But like, yeah, we if we got to go, we also started as a very small business. We didn't start this on a bunch of money and like partners and stuff, right? Like, this was us just going like, can we do this and how should we do it, and let's go for it. But so like having to, like, year one, he was corking stuff, right? Like, are we sorting grapes during harvest? Yes. Like, if we can do it. But we rely on winemakers and vineyard managers and people to sort, like, if something needs to happen, we have to run a business, right? So it just depends on where we can be. But I don't think there's like a part of this that we probably, and even for me, I mean, walking and pruning, I'm not a pruner, but have I been on site when things are getting pruned, asking questions? Absolutely, right?
Oh, for
so
sure.
Kind of just where can we be and how can we be there? But me and Shannon, there's one, since the beginning of this, we asked each other one question. We're like, you can come up with titles and all these things. And I'm like, the two things that we're not, and we get to play it, which is fun, but we're not winemakers. Fundamentally, I'm not a chemist. I'm not in a vineyard every day. I'm not in a cellar every day. Having business partners and friends that are some of my favorite in the world. Do you get more information than most? Absolutely. And have me and Channing taken them out of their comfort zones to try blends they wouldn't normally try, to try more neutral oak with this wine? Like, have we gotten that opportunity? Absolutely. And thankfully, we've actually, with winemakers and ourselves, done a lot of blind trials and ended up liking the same things. So as business partners, choosing labels and art can be tricky. A lot of these things, we've been pretty spot on so far. So it's been fun. So we get to play it all. We just have to be smart about the business and try to get this thing out there so we can keep.
I think that's why it makes our business different, but it solidifies us as not perfectionists, but like as experts, because we have 4 experts making the wines that they live that every day. And we get to use my expertise of like, these platforms and doing stuff like this to work with them, where their expertise and what they do every single day is making the wine. It's not Channing's wine. It's not like Frye wine. I'm not the winemaker, but am I there? Hey, when do you guys need me? I need you this day. We need to try this. Do you want to pick early? Do you want to pick late? Like, I could pick this block. We could try this. We're involved in all those things for all these SKUs, which is mind-boggling sometimes to think about how much shit we're actually like keeping track of. Champagne, Napa Valley Cab, Sonoma Coast Pinot, Oregon Pinot, two Oregon Pinots, 2 Oregon Chardonnays, and maybe another Chardonnay, and maybe another Pinot. So it's like maybe a Gamay, maybe a this. And so it's just like we learn so much by living it on this side and getting the information to try and transfer to people who may not know as much on the other side.
Man, yeah. I mean, your involvement too, and for people to see you being involved, I mean, that has to do something for not only the next generation, right? Or maybe the next generation,
totally.
Whether it's athletes, whether it's folks in Hollywood and film, people with the time, money, and influence later in their career to like move something forward, like you said, and for folks to see you doing it and not just like slapping your name on it, right. To be involved in the vision, like that's huge for
whether it's wine
and making it more accessible,
exactly,
approachable.
Whether it's wine or you're into water or art or jewelry, just be authentic. Like, take a chance and bet on yourself, and then do the work. Like, this is work, and I'm glad to do it. Yeah, but dude, it's work. But like, we love it. Like, it like gets your blood going, and I love that. And I think it comes through. Hopefully, it comes through our bottles, through the juice, through the quality, and through our storytelling. And if you have any question, if anybody had any question, they'd be like, hey, Channing, what does this mean? What is this? Why'd you do this? We can run through everything because we did this together. Right. It wasn't like I was just like, hey guys, go make a bottle. Everything needed to have a story so that the whole bottle was itself and a whole trilogy of things between where the grape came from, how it got in the bottle, and now how it got to your table.
Yeah. That's awesome. Man, before we tie things up, I want to hear you talk a little bit about some of these other collaborations y'all have done. Maybe share a little bit about the One Barrel Challenge, what you think, just thinking about inclusion in the wine world. You have this diversity in wine scholarship program that sounds like you're involved with D Wade, Josh Hart, some other folks. I actually talked to someone last week or the week before who I think got one of those scholarships, and I didn't know the connection until we were kind of prepping to get on the phone. But man, tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about what it looks like when you say inclusion in this space, and how you're making strides towards that end.
Oh, me? Well, I think when you love something, you want to share it with everyone. And it's time for us to stop hiding wine and start sharing it with everyone and start educating. And I think if, as a Black kid from Phoenix, Arizona, I know anything about wine, right? And obviously most kids are going to lean towards people who look like them for the most part. Did I see any Black doctors? Did I see any Black dentists? Did I see any Black lawyers? Not really. Right. And so maybe that affected my life, and it went basketball, and I'm 7 foot, so that didn't hurt. But at the end of the day, if I could be a beacon for somebody to say, you know what, now Channing is normal, ex-NBA player. He's doing something that he's passionate about, that he loves, that he's starting from the bottom. Right. And if somebody can come up to me who looks like me and goes, I'm really into plants and vines and viticulture. Well, hey, I'm trying to open a door for you. I'm trying to show you, take the chance, right? I've been warmly received in this wine industry, and I've loved the people that I've met. And people do want to reach out, but there's a disconnect between what they want to do and how they reach those people, because they're using the same avenues, right? They're wine farmers, right? They can't reach hundreds of thousands of people in a text or a tweet or an Instagram post or on TV. I can. So what I'm saying is, hey, people in this industry that I love, that I'm working with, want you to make this industry better. So allow me to be the in-between, right? When you see a bottle of wine that I like, email them, DM them. Hey, I'd love to work harvest. Hey, I'm 40 years old and I'm on my second life, and I've really always wanted to work a tasting room. Boom. Hey, I've always wanted to be a manager of a tasting room. Boom. Hey, I've always wanted to, learn how to wine make. Can I follow you? Boom. We have those opportunities. And the people that I've had the opportunity of meeting and talking with, a lot of them are aligned, and it's been extremely welcoming that they want the industry to be and reflect everyone in America. And I think it's better for the business. I think you're going to get better stories. I think you're going to get better wine. And I think it's going to move the industry in the right direction. That'll be exploding for the benefit of wine.
Yeah, you asked. This could be another whole other podcast too. And the One Barrel Challenge was a very special thing, specific thing, and a mechanism that I think can help change a lot of things in the wine industry, or at least hold people accountable to do dope stuff, raise money, and make a difference and be impactful, helping people of color get in the wine industry. But I think our two biggest responsibilities as a brand, as human beings that love each other, hold each other responsible or accountable, and love wine, is how does Chosen Family help people fall in love with wine, learn about wine, drink wine, share wine, and become a consumer that's educated enough to make their own decisions? And then how on the other end do we disrupt, challenge, and challenge ourselves and everyone around us to put their money, time, and energy a little bit where their mouth is. So if you work in a winery and you have a barrel, everyone works in barrels. If you don't have one barrel a year to make a unique wine out of, and 100% of those proceeds go to a local nonprofit that helps people, or something that we've thought of to help people of color. The Roots Fund does this, iBoy does this, Our Legacy Harvest did this, One Barrel Challenge. There's so much synergy in people wanting to make a positive impact in this industry on those sides. Because forever, if we don't start by actually trying and doing, we are just a reflection of the past. And I think we're trying to move into the future. So it's how do we make this wine industry what we want it to be? me and Channing's dinner table don't reflect that you have to look or a certain way to drink a certain something. So we just happen to be in the wine game. So we want to, again, it starts with us. Like these thoughts came from our own conversations and our own going like, well, what should we do and how do we do it? And then us going like, well, we have some friends in this industry and I think we have a little sway. Like, what about this idea? And how about you hold me accountable? I'll hold you accountable. Then maybe we can start holding everyone accountable to start to try to find mechanisms and ways to make this industry better into the future. And I think those are our responsibilities. I think Chosen Family is going to live and die by standing by those. We're going to try to make great wines and share them with people. And as long as me and Channing are breathing, we're not going to stop trying to make this thing a little better for us and the people around us.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing. I mean, that puts the ribbon on the whole, like the last 60 minutes of the conversation, because all of the energy that you bring to like the wine stuff, that energy doesn't stop when you think about something like inclusion or bringing folks into the industry who weren't in it before. So, I mean, I think that, like you said, authenticity, the way you guys kind of take it from A to Z, all the way from the wines to, the way that you distribute them and, who you're working with and not working with, man. I mean, that's how you do it the right way.
No, that's all for me. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it.
No worries, man. Thank you guys.
This was awesome, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm sure we'll be out there soon drinking wine together. We'll bring Virginia wine. We'll bring Paso wine.
To be continued.
Oh yeah, TBC.
For questions, comments, or feedback on the Vent podcast, please email us at support@vent.co. To check out our current offerings and to sign up for the Vent platform, find us at www.vent.co. That's www.vint.co. Vent and VV Markets are offering securities pursuant to Regulation A. Our offering circular as amended can be found on the SEC website. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Investments such as those on the Vent platform are speculative and involve substantial risks to consider before investing. We may provide communication that may contain certain forward-looking statements that are subject to various risks and uncertainties. Information provided in any communications is not legal, business, or tax advice. All prospective investors should consult a legal, tax, or business advisor concerning the subject matter of any communications and any offering.